Meghan McPeak, our very good friend from Rise and Grind. If you have not seen her on, and we first just want to apologize because Meghan, we haven't had you on in way too long. It's been too long since we've had you on the broadcast, and I just want to. I'm sorry about that. I really am.
It's okay. It's all right. Don't worry about it. But hold on. Like, I don't want to be this person, but like, I understand like this is a hoop show. But can we talk about the fact that Serena Williams just announced her retirement on the cover of Vogue?
I didn't see that. We haven't seen that, Meghan. Where?
Literally.
I just logged into my laptop. This is what
Instagram. She posted on Instagram. Let me see if I can get it. You see the cover? Serena's farewell.
Oh my gosh.
How could she do this to me?
Basically, once this tennis season is over, she is officially retiring. She wants to focus on being a mom.
But this cover. Oh my gosh. First of all,
look at Minnie. Like, come on. Like, that's probably the best. If you're going to retire, that's one heck of a cover. Like, come on.
Olympia looks amazing, number one.
Amazing.
Amazing. Serena looks amazing. I'm loving the blue. I'm loving the dress. I love the train. I love how she's like hiding behind it. The ocean, everything about the cover is yes, but this is big.
That's what I was looking at when you guys were in the break. I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm literally shaking. Like, what is happening right now?
You are a breaking news reporter, Meghan. You are a breaking news reporter. Serena Williams. What? So now we all have to go get this cover of Vogue too.
1,000%. 1,000%. Like,
yes.
Put it right next. Watch every single tennis match.
Put it right next to the Barack one.
Yeah, I have I kid you not, the Michelle Obama Vogue is in my car. It's in the back seat of my car, and I don't know if I'm not an Uber driver, but I just feel like if anyone's in the back seat, you can always just pull it out and read it and open it. So now I'm gonna get Serena and put it in the other side, on the passenger side. Wow.
Yeah. Like, wasn't expecting that to be my Tuesday morning.
Was not mentally prepared to even talk about that or speak about it, but
right. So basketball.
Yeah, but I will say this for Serena Williams, because we know what she has done for just in everything. It's not just in tennis; it's just in all sports and a total inspiration for us all. But I just want Serena Williams to be so happy, and we love seeing her back out there, and yes, we would love to see her continue her career, but whatever makes Serena Williams happy to be her best self. It's going to be sad to the idea of not thinking about her on a tennis court next year, the year after that, or just honestly just forever, because that's Serena Williams. But she is the GOAT. She will continue to be the GOAT, and just amazing career. Wow.
Without question. Couldn't have said it better myself. Without question.
This would have been a really not as interesting of a Tuesday without KD, WNBA. Now we have Serena. More breaking news?
Don't compare KD to Serena. Hold on, wait a second now. Kevin Durant is a phenomenal basketball player. Serena Williams, you could argue, of our lifetime, we've never seen an athlete this great. And think about the athletes who've come across in our lifetime. Jordan, though Brady in there, unfortunately for you, Meghan, LeBron James,
Kobe.
No. Serena Williams is that dudette. She is one of the GOATs of sports. It is remarkable, all the things that she's accomplished and achieved, all the adversity that she had to overcome, not just recently with the pregnancy scare with Olympia, who looks great in that cover, like you guys said, but also being a black woman in a sport dominated from a coverage standpoint and from a honestly fairness standpoint by white men and white women, having to break through that barrier right there and to show, hey, I can be dignified, I can be elegant, and I can be dominant as a black woman in this sport. I don't have to dial that back. Oh my gosh, this is my whole day is ruined now. But I'm happy for Serena. I am. I love that she's leaving on her terms. It's great. I hope that she goes out there, has a good rest of the tennis season. I don't know when tennis season's in. It is always on to me for some reason. But hey, hats off to Serena. I'll be telling my kids, I grew up and got to watch Serena Williams play tennis.
Yeah. It's I believe tennis season is done around November-ish. They only get 5 weeks off, but I'll read her caption really quickly. There comes a time in life when we have to decide to move in a different direction. That time is always hard when you love something so much. My goodness, do I enjoy tennis. But now the countdown has begun. I have to focus on being a mom, my spiritual goals, and finally discovering a different but just as exciting Serena. I'm going to relish these next few weeks.
Oh, wow. I guess here's like one of the good things as a Serena Williams fan. She's not announcing and saying I'm done today because she's playing the Canadian Open. She's saying that we will have the celebration tour. It might be not as long as we would probably all want and what she deserves, but we have some time to still see her out there on the court. But just know that every single time we're still going to like hold our breaths and say, "Oh, I don't want that to be the last time."
Would tennis celebrate Serena appropriately?
They better.
I hope so. You say it, it makes me nervous.
Yeah, I don't trust them at some of these tennis courts to appreciate Serena. They haven't her whole career. And think about all she's done to help that game continue to grow. I'm not sure we get Naomi or Coco or other tennis stars right now, men and women, black and white, if not for what Serena and Venus were able to do in the late 90s and throughout the 2000s. And tennis has not shown an appreciation for these two.
That part.
Yeah, that's the part that could be very scary, and they might not do it right. However, I do think that, and whatever is left of the tennis season, we know fans will. We know that she will get, round of applause anytime she steps out there, anytime she walks off the court. And we know that she is connected to, now we have so many other platforms and so many networks and so many various things that hopefully we can definitely show her appreciation. I think Serena knows that we appreciate her. But you're right, CJ. I would be nervous about when it comes to the tennis association and kind of how they will handle it, because tennis is a different sport where they probably won't have like a video tribute and kind of what we have been accustomed to seeing when it comes to football and basketball and other sports like that. So, man. Thank you, Meghan McPeak, breaking news reporter. Do you just want to come in when you know we're live and we might miss something? Because then, especially when we're down one person, when we're live and we might miss it, you can just pop in and just call us on Skype and be like, "I'm here. I got something to tell you guys. I want to make sure you guys don't miss it." Do you want another job? You have so many. Do you want another one? I can give you another job. We can be the breaking news reporter of Rise and Grind GCM.
Meghan McPeak, your W-2s must be ridiculous. Tax season for you must be hard, dog. We were trying to figure out what to put in your bio. It was like, she's got too many dang jobs. It's like 20 of them things.
She does it all.
Meghan McPeak, broadcaster. Sports.
That is perfect, because we can talk to you about honestly anything and everything. I really want to talk about the WNBA, because we're talking about retirement and Serena Williams. Let's talk about the WNBA and the retirement that we're going to be seeing. This is the last season for three greats, and we've seen them all three get their flowers, get certain video tributes. We had Sue Bird on Sunday in front of a packed out Seattle Storm Arena, where it was who was not there to show Sue Bird off in her final regular season home game. We also had Brianne January. She was honored last week during the Minnesota game versus Sylvia Fowles. But when you think about just these three amazing WNBA players who we know that is retiring, I'll say that who's already said this will be their last season, just what have they represented it? And you've gotten a chance to see them play this season, taking up against the Mystics.
Yeah, it's so interesting. And I love that you added that caveat of who we know will be retiring.
Yes.
Because a lot of people are now wondering, especially with the news coming out Monday about Diana Taurasi not finishing the rest of the regular season, but an asterisk in case they make the playoff. I think she's going to give it one more go personally and try and encapsulate 20 years of playing in the W. But when you look at the careers of Sylvia, Brianne, and Sue, I mean, the resumes speak for themselves. Brianne January obviously had a lot of her time with the Fever and the Sun, or the Fever and the Mercury, excuse me, I apologize, mixing up my Connecticut teams. And what she's been able to do, not just offensively, but as well defensively, one of the great defenders this league has seen from the perimeter standpoint. Then you look at Sylvia Fowles, who is undoubtedly, there's no question in my mind, she is a first ballot Hall of Famer. And if she is not, then I need to talk to the people who didn't vote her first ballot Hall of Famer, because they clearly are not watching the same Sylvia Fowles career that the rest of us have been watching. But what she means to the game of basketball, not just from a post-playing perspective, but just from the game itself. Her humbleness, her wanting to be in the community, not just in Minnesota, but as well to the entire W, and just to know that she, could have easily felt slighted by the way this final season has gone for her, but instead decided that why hold on to that anger, because then I'm just walking around angry anymore and I don't get to enjoy this final season. But to see her get her flowers and to see Brianne get her flowers as well too on a consistent game by game basis, even if it isn't their final time playing in that city, just the fact the fans are continuously celebrating them, I think it's what we're going to see for Serena as well too. Like, good luck to the umpires trying to get the fans to be quiet when it comes to her walking onto the court every time, because it's always like, is this going to be the final time? And then you look at Sue Bird, and much like, Sylvia and Brianne has won on every level. And Sue has shown how dominant she is and has been on every level, obviously winning in college, overseas, USA basketball, obviously with the Storm and the amount of, storage space in her house that she's going to need for all her trophies. But the careers that they have all had collectively for the W has been phenomenal. The generations that they have affected, not just in the last 10 to 20 years, but going down the road and future generations, because you're now seeing, women that are my age and a little bit older who have kids because they grew up watching these women play and are around the same age as them. Their kids are now watching them play in the later parts and later stages of their career, so they can also enjoy them and celebrate them as well too. But a tip of the cap to all three of them and the careers that they've had at every level. And the crazy thing is the caveat to this is Brianne January is only retiring from the WNBA. She actually recently signed a contract for overseas. I can't recall the team that she signed with, but it's WNBA retirement. So we will still get to watch Brianne January on the floor overseas. So how long she plays in that aspect, we don't know, but it's been fun to watch them all season long. And as it stands right now, at least, we will get at least 2 more games of Sue Bird against the Mystics, because that is potentially the 4-5 matchup right now in the playoffs.
Ooh.
That's great. That's going to be exciting. Mystics clinched yesterday, if I'm not mistaken. When you look at the WNBA playoffs, Megan, who are some people and some teams, players to keep an eye on as we end up going through this stretch run of regular season and get ready for postseason play?
Yeah, the crazy thing of the playoffs is we only have the top 5 teams that have clinched. So we're still waiting on 6, 7, and 8. And it is a gauntlet of a fight right now for 6, 7, and 8 spots, not just for teams clinching, but as well to seeding. That's the other thing we don't have in 1 through 8. No team has solidified their seeding in any of the playoff spots. And it could literally come down to the final day of the regular season, which is this Sunday, of who is 1 through 8 and the seeding and the playoff clinches and whatnot. But to think that, the top 5, in my opinion, which right now is Chicago, Las Vegas, Connecticut, Seattle, and Washington, any 5 of those teams could potentially win. They all have the ability to do so. It would not surprise me if we saw any 2 of those teams in the finals. I've said that from the beginning of the season. I also said at the beginning of the season, I wouldn't be surprised if it was a Las Vegas and a Washington final. And that was before I saw any teams play. It was just going based on matchup. I also wouldn't be surprised if we saw a Seattle, Las Vegas, or Seattle, Chicago matchup in the finals. I think the top 5 have the best chances to win. But it's kind of crazy to think that in the first round, you will be losing Elena Delle Donne, Brianna Stewart, or Sue Bird.
Wow.
Because that's the 4-5 matchup as it stands. Like, if the playoffs started tomorrow, that would be the 4-5 matchup. So you would either be losing Sue and Brianna Stewart, or Elena Delle Donne and Natasha Cloud and Ariel Atkins. Like, that is the disappointing side of the playoffs when you come down to it. And then the next potential matchup, you're looking at possibly facing Chicago. So it's kind of crazy to think of what these playoffs could do. But in my opinion, Megan and CJ, I think this has been the first season in a very long time that there has been this level of parity across the board when it comes to playoff teams. And especially when you think of the fact that we're in the last, 3, depending on how many games you have left, 3 or 4 games of the regular season for each team. And we don't know what 1 through 8 is going to look like when it comes to playoff seeding.
Ooh, it sounds really, really exciting, especially because, as you mentioned, when it comes to that playoff race and not really quite knowing. And then a lot of these teams have some great games coming up. Seattle still has to take on Chicago Sky, Minnesota Lynx, and the Las Vegas Aces again in their last regular season game. And for you, I know you're excited about the Washington Mystics. As you mentioned, it would be weird to think that in that first round you could lose some great players if they get knocked out. But the Washington Mystics, they're back in the playoffs. And that in itself is such a big deal because this was such a hot team just 2 years ago. They didn't make the playoffs last year due to a lot of injuries. But now you have this year where they're back. And as you mentioned, so many great players. What have you liked about what the Washington Mystics has displayed throughout the regular season?
Yeah, this has been a team that offensively, everyone's seen it throughout the season. They've had their struggles, but they have hung their hat on the defensive end. When it comes to defensive categories, you can literally go through the entire stat of defensive categories, and the Mystics are either top 1 or within the top 3 of leading the league in all defensive categories, which is kind of crazy to think. If there was a Defensive Team of the Year award, they would most likely be the winners of that one just because of what they're able to do. They have, in my opinion, 4 of the best defenders in this league in Alicia Clark, Natasha Cloud, who should be up for Defensive Player of the Year, in my opinion, and Ariel Atkins, along with the rookie and Shakira Austin and the impact that she has had. I think when you look at, as I call them, the law offices of Clark, Atkins, and Cloud, or as we also like to know them as the three-headed snake, they should all be on the all WNBA defensive teams, whether it's first or second. They could easily all be on first team, in my opinion, but it wouldn't surprise me if they all split. You could even give the rookie some votes in there as well, too, and Shakira Austin and what she's been able to do. And then you look at Elena Deladon, 2-time MVP.
Oh, no! Megan?
Oh, no.
She froze on us. We're working to get her back.
Oh, can you guys hear me now?
Oh, now you're back. It might be us. You froze on us just for a little bit, but it's probably not you. It's probably us because all of a sudden we got thunder and lightning in the city of Memphis.
It doesn't make sense, Megan, because it's sunny outside.
It's sunny outside.
I see no clouds at all.
And thunder is super loud here downtown, and then you froze. And there it's going, and then you froze. We were like, I don't know we were talking about the Seattle storm, but I don't know if it's a storm coming. I don't know what's going on.
No. It's dark over here.
Thank you. We have a breaking news reporter and a weather report over here.
We got
Back to you, Megan.
News and meteorologist.
What?
No, just the impact that the team has had defensively. That's where they've really hung their hat, and I'm excited to see what they can do in the playoffs. And very excited to see this 4-5 matchup. Should the seeding hold, and it's a Seattle-Washington matchup. They played no more than a week ago, and it was some of the best basketball that we've seen. They split the 2 games that were in DC. It was almost like the appetizer to what we would potentially see in a 3-game series in the playoffs. So I'm very excited to see the playoffs this season, not just for the Mystics, but for the entirety of the league.
Speaking of the playoffs, one of the more remarkable stories to me in sports so far is what this Atlanta Dream Team has become. How have they done that? Is it as simple as, oh, they got Ryan Howard now and she's out there balling, or is there something more to it?
I think, CJ, to your point, it's a little bit of it's both. It's getting the Ryan Howard pick in the trade with Washington, which a lot of people at the beginning, when that happened, DC-wise at least, they were kind of, raising their eyebrow at Mike Thibault and questioning, why would you trade the number 1 overall pick? But when you look at the roster for the Mystics, where was Ryan Howard going to get her minutes? Whereas you make that trade, she's going to, whether it was to Indiana or to Atlanta, Ryan Howard was going to play immediately because of the situation with their roster, and they needed someone like that. And Ryan Howard is in the conversation, in my opinion. I think when you look at Rookie of the Year, it's a two-person race. It's Ryan Howard and it's Shakira Austin. And this has nothing to do with being, working with the Mystics and biased. It's simply coming down to, in my opinion, I think impact on winning and impact on a winning team. For me, at least, if I had a vote, and I'll be clear, I don't have a vote when it comes to the regular season awards. I think Shakira Austin should get more votes than what many will give her, because a lot of people will just look at statistics, and statistics are great. But the impact that she has had on the Mystics in games where Elena Delle Donne is not playing, or even when she is playing, the fact that as a rookie you can have this big of an impact on both ends of the floor, I think should warrant a lot more votes. And I think, in my opinion, if I had a vote, I'd give it to her for Rookie of the Year. But to your point, in Ryan Howard, who is, let me be clear, a phenomenal talent. I am not knocking her. The stats don't lie, and I've seen it with my own eyes. I've also seen her struggle against teams when they have figured out how to defend her. And I think for her, that's going to be the next level of growth in her career. But I think it also has to do with bringing in the coaching staff that they have in Tanisha Wright and what she's been able to do in implementing her system. You have a change in ownership with, obviously, you add in part of the ownership group is former player Renee Montgomery, and what they're doing in not just putting together pieces for this roster and Coach Wright and the system, but as well too the change that they are making in the city of Atlanta with giving this dream the crowd that they deserve, and that plays on a consistent basis. I have had the pleasure of doing a game for them.
Come on through. Oh, drat. And there was just a flash of lightning.
Oh.
We got you back. Every time you freeze, lightning happens. Every time you freeze, there's lightning in the sky, and I'm like, I don't know what's happening here. But we got you.
But no, Ryan Howard is one piece, but then also too, everything that encompasses putting this team together and the coaching staff, I think, has played into the success that they have had this season. So I am very excited to see, one, if they can hold into the playoffs, and two, what they can do in the playoffs, because I think they can be disruptive.
You got us hyped and just really, really excited. I know there's still teams still have almost 3 games left of the regular season, but to not know what's going to happen, there's so much talent and there's so many various storylines for you. Look, I want everyone to be very clear. This is Meghan McPeak we're talking to. She is host, reporter, play-by-play for Monumental Sports. She covers the Wizards and the Mystics. I know your team is they're the Mystics, and I know that you are big on them. But if you had to pick, I'm not gonna make you pick your front runner, because I know you're gonna say the Mystics. But what team could very well be, I would say, you're more concerned with when it comes up going against the Mystics?
I don't even think, Meghan, I wouldn't even just say going against the Mystics. I would look at just as a whole who could really and truly disrupt the playoffs. Dallas, because right now they're playing really well without Arike Ogunbowale. So the fact that you have a team in Dallas that is getting some confidence right now, you don't have your star player. They're playing really strong. In back-to-back games, they beat the Sky and the Aces. That is tough to do in itself. So I think they could be very disruptive in the playoffs. I think they could cause some people some headaches. But if I'm not picking Mystic to go all the way, I would not be surprised if we saw a repeat from the Chicago Sky.
Oh, okay. Oh, she gave us 2 things. I asked her 1 question. She gave me 2. Meghan McPeak, really quickly before we let you go, we were just an hour today. I got to talk to you about something that came out yesterday. After the Mystics game, you guys took on the LA Sparks. I know it was a controversial ending at the end of that game of if there was a foul, did it happen before the final buzzer? But however, after the game, the LA Sparks tried to catch a flight, and after so many delay, their flight was canceled, and they got rebooked the night for the next morning. Check out Nneka Ogwumike's her Twitter page from a video that she posted about the team having to spend the night in the airport.
Yeah, so we are roaming the airport. It's the first time in my 11 seasons that I've ever had to sleep in the airport. But based on travel, it's not expected that this has happened. It was only a matter of time. So half of us are sleeping in the airport, half of us are at a hotel. There weren't enough rooms. after our flight got
Delayed, then canceled.
delayed, and then canceled at 1 a.m.
And then rebooked for first thing in the morning.
So it is now 1:44, and we're here till 9 a.m.
I doubled up my clothes, y'all. Getting cozy.
Yes.
I mean, Megan, I know that the WNBA travel has been a topic of conversation for the last couple of seasons, and it's something that, you know, the Players Association has been talked about and addressing. NECA even released a statement, you know, calling on several airlines to like meet us at the table. It's time to really get this done, and then especially when it comes to the CBA and all that talk. But when you see this video, and, you know, for the LA Sparks, they play tonight. And when it comes to the playoffs and everything being neck and neck and so much being involved, to think about a team having to spend the night in the airport, what was just your reaction to hearing this?
It was tough, but it wasn't surprising, which is sad because I've had travel woes myself. When you think of obviously the post return, because we are still technically in a pandemic when you really think of what COVID has done, but the post-COVID lockdown, if you will, return of travel. We've all probably experienced some sort of frustrating travel situation, whether it's been delayed hours or your flight is canceled, you're stuck at the airport, you know. But the one thing that I think surprised me the most was the fact that we don't typically see this type of a reaction from Nneka Ogwumike, who is the president of the Players Association in the WNBA. I mean, we hear it from other players throughout the league, and I'm not knocking them, to be honest. And to be very clear, the players have they're entitled and they have the right to utilize their platforms and share their frustrations. And we get to see kind of a behind the curtains look at what. But Nneka is a very poised and quiet person. So to see her take to social media and share her experience and what's going on, and then to follow it up as the association president for I heard the pause, so I waited for the lightning strike.
You got it. You're back.
Statement. To hear her statement and to see what she had to say, you know, all the power to the players. And I understand that in the CBA that the most recent one that they signed, they tried to get as much as they could, and this is part of her job. Part of her job as the Player Association president is to not only fight for herself as a player, but to fight for the other 130 plus players in the WNBA and what they deserve. And I think she went about it the correct way in not just calling the W to the table, but now calling the airlines, because they're giving the airlines business on a consistent basis. That, you know, when you look at the W, you can almost guarantee that if the W is playing, the airlines have consistent business from them. So the fact that she said, meet us at the table, let's see if we can figure something out that works for both sides, I thought was commendable, and I thought it was a respectful way for her to share her frustrations, the frustrations we've seen all season long, and to your point, Megan, in the last couple of years. But I will be interested to see what the airlines do now, because essentially she said the ball is in your court. What are you going to do? What do you have to say about this? Like, this is what we're dealing with on a consistent basis. And the Sparks are not the only team who have had travel woes. Every team in the league this season has experienced it. Whether they have chosen to share it on social media or not is up to them. But I can tell you without uncertainty, I know for a fact every team in the WNBA in the past few years has dealt with some sort of travel woes to this. But the fact that the Sparks had to split not only their team and their staff to some sleep in the airport, some sleep in the hotel that was available, and a lot of people have said, well, it's the DMV. How is there no hotels available? When it's 2 o'clock in the morning and you're scrambling trying to get 20 plus rooms,
right?
You're kind of stuck with what's available and what's there. And if it was a limited capacity, that's what they have to go with. And, you know, Lexi Brown tweeted to people asking how they figured out who gets a hotel and who doesn't. Apparently it was a rock, paper, scissors tournament. So at least they tried to make some light of it and try to have a little bit of fun in a very tough situation.
Yeah, you're right. And as you mentioned, a lot of teams have experienced this, but to put it out there in the forefront, to just like say, let's have more conversation about it. We do know that the 2 finals teams will be chartered, but however, when it comes to, the actual season, these are professional athletes. And I know the whole world is experiencing troubles. I know there's a lot of awful weather, especially within the last couple of weeks across the country. However, but thinking about just like, how do we figure out the solution? How can we, rectify this where we don't have to be spending the night in an airport and then having to maybe potentially play a game the very next day? All of that is just having some conversations, and hopefully they can get some solutions and some answers, because this was a topic last year, and I just think it's odd to my brain to think about, WNBA teams spending the night in an airport. I can't wrap my brain around that at all. But Meghan McPeak, like always, we appreciate you coming on. We can talk to you forever because you do so much, and we're running out of time. Can we have you back on here soon? I know you're super busy. If you could just pencil us in. You can write in a pencil, then you can erase it if something else comes up. It's fine.
Of course. I'd be happy to join you guys once again.
All right, perfect. Meghan, I'll talk to you soon.